Creepers left to rise, buzz like crazy. Everybody's trying to stimulate it. Spiders in the mirror and feel this can't be right. Back to the scene of a Friday night, to a blessed collision still frozen tight. Spear drinkers, Cupid and the sound of her first chime. And why did you argue? We're dreaming of those eyes, the best part of my life. And when we make love, babe, don't make a sound, the clock won't turn around. Ooh, you turn around, 2,000 little fires. And ooh, your circle is spreading. Slowing things down when I wanted to race, catching up again when you try to chase. Feels like we're playing space. You always find a way to make up.
Kazi, come in. We have to be in the. Come here. Come here. Come here. He is sitting on my lap. Kind of hello, friends. Kazi and I say hello. Thank you. Yes, you're a good boy. We say hello. He's just finishing up breakfast. Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Okay, so we're starting a new reading vlog. This is definitely just going to be a no theme to it, read whatever I want, because y'all, I definitely feel like I'm kind of in a reading slump. Like, I mean, when I look back at the books that I read in January, I'm about to film my January wrap-up. Like, I definitely had some books that I really enjoyed reading and books that I just, like, totally loved. Like Monroe and Treat Me, Ravishing the Heiress. Like, I loved those books, but I don't know, maybe I'm just in an audiobook slump, which is unfortunate because without audiobooks, I don't have books to talk to you guys about, because at best, I can read one book physically a week just because I don't have time to physically read a whole lot. And usually when I do, yo baby, it's bedtime, and then I end up opening up my Kindle, reading like 5 pages, and then I like fall asleep, you know? But anyway, so I'm in a weird reading mood. I filmed my TBR, that's the last video I just put out, and so I am reading a book. Good news, right, for a reading vlog? Anyway, the book I am currently reading is called Pridemates. This is a paranormal romance, sort of like an urban fantasy about shifters, and this is by Jennifer Ashley. This is a book that I have... The only person I've ever even heard talk about this book is actually Lacey from Lacey's Book Lovers. And I don't know, I'm going to be doing an interview with Jen from the Book Refuge, talking to Jennifer Ashley later in February, and I wanted to read more of her books. And I have kind of, and this pains me to say it, y'all, I have kind of not been in the mood for a historical recently. I don't know why that is, and it makes me sad, because those are my comfort reads, but I just don't... I don't know what my deal is, but I don't know. I just feel slumpy. Like I've honestly started like 5 books, and I just keep like, you know, like, I don't know. So honestly, like usually when I'm in a mood like this, ow, it can't chomp me. My go-to fix is to read something in a different genre, you know? So I kind of feel like I've been doing that with romance subgenres. But usually what I would do in the past, like other than the last 2 years, I would read a thriller, because that would almost always get me like excited to read romance again, you know? And I don't think it's romance that I have a problem with. I really think it's specifically an audiobook issue. I don't know. I honestly kind of put off filming this clip for a while because I'm like, I don't really have a book that I really am excited to talk about. And I also sound a little whiny, but... Hey, what are you doing? He's pushed his toy under the bench over there. Anyway, Pridemates, fantasy romance, paranormal romance about shifters. These are like big cat shifters. And the cool thing about this one though is that like society knows that shifters exist, and all of these shifters live in towns that are literally called Shifter Town. So it's kind of like they're like segregated from the rest of humanity. And they all have like these chains, or they call them collars, around their neck, which is supposed to allow them to shift, but stop them from like going on murderous rages, I guess. So one of the shifters has been accused of going on a rampage, and our heroine is an attorney. She's fully human, so she ends up going into Shifter Town to try and gather a case for this shifter who's been accused of going on a murderous rampage. So she ends up having a lot of chemistry with one of the shifters named Liam, and he is, he's like, they call them like fae cats, but they're basically just like a big cat, so I'm not sure if it's like a lion, tiger, leopard, something like that. But he also has a bit of a Scottish accent, so he's very interested in her, and I don't know, it's fun. It is engaging. So I'm liking it, but am I going to love it? I don't know. So I don't know. That's what I'm reading right now. And I'm not sure what else I'm going to pick up this week. I may honestly go with something completely different once I finish this book, but I will let you know what that is, obviously, when that happens. Because right now I'm sort of like, I don't really know what I want to read. I don't really know what I'm in the mood for, you know? So, I'll keep you updated as I finish this book, and then I'll talk to you later. Hello friends, welcome back. I've got another vlog update for you. I did miss a few days, so it's not the next day. What is daily vlogging anymore? Sometimes I think back to doing Vlogmas, and I'm like, how did I do that? Because vlogging every day is challenging. But I do love coming to chat with you guys, and I have some updates for you, so let's chat about it. I'm on my way to the gym, just gonna go get a quick workout in because today is freaking busy for me. I have a shop update this afternoon at 4 p.m. so that I'm still getting sculptures ready for. I make animal sculptures and figurines and sell them online. I also, I'm trying to edit some videos while I do that, like just listening and then editing bits and parts out while I'm sculpting. I've got my January wrap-up filmed that you'll see before you see this vlog. And then, what else? Oh, just, you know, mom life. Pick up the kids. I've got to make dinner. I've got to work. Cosmo, I signed him up for a focus and impulse control class. Did I tell you guys about that? I don't know. I don't think I mentioned that in my last clip. But I'm going to try and get some footage of him with that, doing that tonight. So his first class is tonight. Kazi is really a good boy. He's a very sweetheart, but he does struggle a little tiny bit with impulse control. And I just want to work on that. But one of the main reasons I wanted to do this is just because I like training him. I like doing things with him, and I just felt like we could do this together. It would be a fun activity. But also, I'm going to be getting another puppy. Another giant schnauzer puppy is hopefully coming our way in April. So I want him to be on his best behavior for when she gets here, you know? Anyway, last night I went and met up with Sam from Sam Reads a Little. She is such a sweetheart. I love and adore her. I'll link her channel below. I did not get any footage again. What in the heck? What, am I even a YouTube? Am I even a vlogger? No. But we went and worked out. We both love to go lift, and then we went and got some food and went to Barnes & Noble where I got these two books. I've been hearing so many good things about this, and I've really been in the mood for a cute, happy rom-com. And I just love this. This is an example of an illustrated cover that I love. I think it's so cute. I love how there's like detail in the people's faces. It's adorable. And then this is not a romance, but I grabbed it because I just was walking past the shelves. They didn't have a ton of romance there that I wanted. Their romance selection was really, really small. But I saw this book by Veronica Roth, who, you know, I actually loved the Divergent series years and years ago when it came out. This is an adult fantasy by her, and I've never read that anymore. So, I mean, I haven't read any of her. I haven't read anything of hers since Allegiant, which we won't talk about because that book was awful and sad. Anyway, those are the books that I got. So, I finished Pride Mates by Jennifer Ashley. It was a 3-star read for me. I really liked the setup of the shifters. I thought that was a really fun and unique take on that. I really liked how they had elements of like big cats in their shifter personalities, and that was like evident in how they interacted with their mates and things like that. I thought the plot was good. I liked the characters. You know, Jennifer Ashley is a really good writer, but I feel like overall it was just sort of lacking in that sort of special certain something that really gets me invested, and I think that is largely because the heroine was a little bit flat. I didn't really love her characterization. I felt like she could have been built up a little bit better or given a little bit more background or something. She seemed very stereotypical to a heroine, and the hero was really the star of this. He's actually Irish, not Scottish, like I said. He was fantastic. I really, really liked him. So yeah, that was a 3-star read. I also didn't love, like, the way the fated mate thing worked in here. I think that can be tricky to pull off, and it just fell flat in a way in that she fought the mating bond a lot. Like, she didn't believe in it. She just wanted to, like, have sex with him and be done with it. And he was like, well, if we do that, you're mine forever, you know? So I think that when fated mates doesn't work for me, it's usually because they don't show any type of build-up to make it believable. It's just sort of like, well, yeah, you're my mate and you're mine, and that I can't get on board with that. I need to know why, you know? Like, that's one reason why, like, I love soulmate stories. I think soulmate is different because it shows them meeting and getting to know each other and building that relationship, and I think fated mates is sometimes just too fast, you know what I mean? Anyway, finish that one. So the next book that I decided to pick up is actually because I got my Mystic Box order. I am a subscriber to them, and I knew it was going to be Tilly Cole this time, but like, can you see the skull in that? I'm not sure if you can see. There's an eye, and a nose, and then you can see like the teeth right here. But, so this book is old. It's not brand new. I think it's close to 10 years old. I think maybe it came out in like 2014. And it's been on my TBR that entire time, basically. I had a physical copy of this in my wish list, and a sweet subscriber sent it to me, and I just went to try and find it. My shelves are in such disarray. I need to do an unhaul and rearrange my shelves so bad. I couldn't find it. I do have it out there. But this Mystic Box edition came, and look, see the sprayed edges? And I just was like, wow, that's gorgeous. And it's signed. All, you know, Mystic Boxes are signed, which is just so fun. I don't know. I was just like looking at these and was like, you know what? I think I kind of want to read that. But it also came with this one, Sick Fucks, which is actually the book that I really wanted to read. Like, this one sounds very twisted and dark and kind of spooky, and I just really wanted that. So these are definitely dark romances for sure. But there was no audio for Sick Fucks, so I'll have to read that at a later time. But there was, however, an audio for It Ain't Me, Babe, and it was only $2 because I had the Kindle book. So I am reading this one. I am not sure exactly where I'm at in the book. I think let's see, I'll check. Okay, so I am over halfway. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it. And so this book is a motorcycle romance. And one of the reasons that I've kind of been putting this off for so long is because I wasn't sure how I felt about motorcycle romances. I know that in general they use a lot of like derogatory slang, which I don't feel like they necessarily consider to be derogatory. The people in the... I don't know, actually. I honestly don't know a lot about actual motorcycle clubs. I've read very little motorcycle club romances. It just isn't a subgenre that's necessarily appealed to me. But I was in the mood for something that was gonna really captivate me and grip me and sort of be not quite like a thriller, but something that was complex and a little dark and maybe a little twisted, and that's exactly what this is. So if you don't know what this is about, it's basically about our heroine and the hero meet very young as children. She's like 8 years old, he's like 11. They meet when she had something extremely traumatic happen to her, and she runs away from this community where she is living with a cult. And some serious abuse has just happened to her, and she's so traumatized by it, as at 8 years old, she runs out. And she ends up seeing through the fence this boy who is the son of a motorcycle club leader. And he doesn't speak. He uses sign language to communicate. He can hear just fine, but he doesn't speak. And when they meet, they have this very beautiful and sweet connection. And he speaks to her for the first time, very much stumbling and stuttering over his words. And it's just a very endearing first meeting. Years and years pass, and he is now the leader of the motorcycle club, and they stumble across her body. He doesn't realize that it's her at first. He believes that she's just a dead young woman, and they're going to dispose of the body, when suddenly he realizes that she's alive, and he starts to suspect that she's actually the girl that he knew or that he met as a child. So at this point in his life, he's still not speaking. He's using sign language to communicate. And then as soon as she awakens and they know who they are, it's their romance and them falling in love. And the complicated plot of the cult is going to come back further into play. It hasn't at this point, but I know that it will. And it's really, honestly, like, I had pretty low expectations going into this. I have been burned quite often with dark romances recently. That have really underdelivered on writing, as far as, like, and not just writing in a technical sense. I feel like Hooked, whatever, that book I just read in my last reading vlog, had a lot of technical issues with the writing that were very difficult for me to see past to get engaged with the story. But I feel like a lot of times, dark romance authors can have other writing flaws in the way that their stories are they rely on melodrama too much, they're a little overdramatic, they don't really have a sense of building tension in a way that isn't just like hitting you over the head with like 7 different types of trauma, to get you engaged that way. So I was very hesitant to go into this book. I didn't think I was going to love it, but this book is very much working for me. I am completely invested in these characters. The hero is so just out of his head for this woman. Like, he barely even really knows her, but he wants to protect her and he wants her to be his. Like, he's extremely protective and just wants to take care of her, and he deals a lot with how to express his emotions. Like, he doesn't really know how to express them. He relies on anger, which we know is pretty typical for men to do at times in history past. I feel like that's becoming better, but he doesn't quite know how to deal with his emotions. But something that is really, really striking me about their relationship is that he has so many feelings for her. And this book definitely does have that motorcycle club type of language where they refer to women in very derogatory terms, like bitch, slut, whore, chick, even like old lady. Like, the words that they use to talk about women are crass and crude and very, very off-putting. Like, it is not fun to read that. I really don't like that at all, and I wish that it wasn't in here. But something that I think is very, very interesting about the hero is his language is extremely coarse. When, the words that he uses are very coarse when he talks about sex, when he talks about women. But the narrator in this is doing such a good job of conveying the emotion behind those words, so it doesn't come across in a way that feels very, like, you can tell his emotions behind the words that he's saying are pure and true in the way that he feels about the heroine. So the narrator is so good at delivering those lines in a way that, like, he includes the stutter and the stumble over the words, and you can just feel how much he wants to tell her how he feels about her and how he cares about her, but he's not able to get the words out. Literally, he doesn't speak. He's had trouble with that his whole life. But he also is using as a vocabulary the words that he's known his entire life, how you talk about women. But the emotion and the sentiment behind those words are so pure and, like, true. It's just a completely riveting performance of this book. I wonder if I would feel the same way if I were to just read the words on the page, because this is an instance where I feel like the audiobook narrator is doing such an excellent job of convincing you that this hero, even though he sounds very crass and derogatory, is out of his mind in love with this woman and cares about her so deeply. And just watching him really struggle with putting his emotions into words in a way that he can communicate that to her, and he realizes that he's failing. Like, it's just so endearing, and it just makes you just love this character and want them to be together so badly. It's beautifully well done. The heroine is a little naive, like, obviously. I think that doesn't bother me. She literally was raised in a very religious cult, and so it makes complete sense to me that she would behave and think in the way that she does, and I don't think that it's off-putting at all. I just am completely invested in their romance and this story. I'm utterly captivated with it. And I can see why this book has been hyped up so much. And I do think that it is extremely dark. It talks about like sexual assault, sexual abuse, definitely death. It's dark for sure, but it's just completely compelling, and I'm just kind of eating it up. So this is the book that I'm reading. Today is also Derek Craven Day. I just had to say that because I saw that on the Fated Mates podcast Instagram post. But yeah, I'm reading this. I'm going to keep reading it. And then I really feel like I really want a historical romance. And I think I know the one I'm going to pick, but I'm going to wait to tell you until the next clip when I've probably started it. So, all right, it's time for me to get to work. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see y'all in my next clip.
The last breath of summer is blowing down our necks, and soon we'll wave goodbye to the fleeting bliss. Because you are like a tidal wave, ripping up my life, not living without a trace. And you know that I'm your silent patient. You know I'm your silent patient. I've been waiting to hold me up. I'll be holding on through the winter for your kiss to wake me up. Now with the colors of spring, my heart will blossom up again. The speeding up, and with your smile it will erupt. And I collect all I can, set aside all the supplies. Your kisses and warmness to get through winter time. Because I'm your silent patient. Listen, I'm your silent patient. I've been waiting so long for us to hold me up.
Hello friends, welcome back. Do you like my hair? I never show you my hair like up like this. I just got out of the bath because I have been feeling terrible, honestly. And so I treated myself. Well, actually, my husband treated myself. My husband treated myself. Anyway, I had a bath. I did some dog training with Kazi. The class was so fast that I didn't get any footage while we were there, but I showed you what we've been practicing on, so please tell us that we did a good job. He's really such a good boy. But the thing that he struggles with is when he has that trigger that excites him, and So it's one thing to like practice in your house and he's like, absolutely mom, I'll do that. And then it's another thing when he's in a setting when he's just super excited and he just can't contain himself, you know? So I'm hoping that, oh, my husband just texted me. Pardon me while I read it. Anyway, I'm hoping that this class will help me have tools to know how to deal with him when he does that. So anyway, let's have a reading update. So I finished It Ain't Me, Babe, and honestly, I freaking loved this book. Honestly, like, I was very skeptical about if I was gonna like this book. Very skeptical. This is the book that the lovely subscriber sent to me. Thank you so much. It's just beautiful. This is the original cover. I showed you the special edition Mystic box that I got. So I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars, and honestly, I struggled a little bit with that because there was a moment in the middle, like once they had, not even the middle, but there was a moment when they, like the build up towards their relationship had been resolved, like they were together, the angst was kind of gone, and it just sort of felt like everything just like slowed way down. And it wasn't like enough to really, for me to really be upset about it. Like I still really enjoyed it, but also just like the way they constantly talked about like the language they used to talk about women. Like, and I know that's a thing, that's a trope. I just don't like reading it. And so I'm not going to give it 5 stars. But so honestly, like it was so close to being a 5-star. It really, really was. And I just loved their romance. I felt like it was just such a beautiful developing romance between these two characters. Like I loved their sort of contrast of, like, they were both very innocent at heart. They both were very pure in heart, even though they were in, like, such dark times, you know, like, he's the leader of the motorcycle club, like, he does a lot of, like, violent things, you know, he does a lot of things that are bad, but, like, his heart is so pure, and it just sort of reminded me very much of like a king in like medieval times who would have the same type of responsibilities and maybe have to do things that were very dark or violent, but like his heart was pure, and I just loved it so much. The ending was super fast paced, and honestly, like, I didn't need it to be. I didn't need it to be really, I'm sort of nitpicking a little bit here. I didn't need it to be fast paced. I didn't need it to have a bunch of like crazy stuff happening because I was just so completely invested in their romance. Like the way that this hero, like the way that he was so earnest in his feelings for the heroine, he adored her and wanted nothing more than protect her. Like he was possessive, protective, super protective. Like, that is my weakness. I just loved it. I just adored their romance, loved it so much, honestly. The way that he had like, it just like got to my heart. I feel like I've heard some criticism. Some people say this is over the top, and I would say you're correct. This is a scenario that is extremely over the top. But to me, it didn't feel over the top when I was reading it, and I think that has a lot to say about how excellent the characterization was about both of these characters. Specifically the hero, I keep talking about him, but like, I think that he could have been a caricature, which I've talked about before. Sometimes that happens in books. So, you know, when you give them too many traumas or too many dramatic things, like they could become a caricature. But he felt very realistic to me. Just the way that he was raised around this crude vocabulary. That was the only way he knew how to communicate about women. That was the only way he knew how to communicate about sex, about anything like that, you know? So he's using these very crude words and crude language. And he's having a hard time conveying that because he signs and he wants to speak to the heroine. And so when he does, he stutters and he stumbles. And that combined with like the narrator's delivery of that was perfection. And those two aspects combined into but him wanting to convey the very deep feelings he had for her in the only way he knew how just completely sent me over a cliff. Like, honestly, I freaking loved that. I think it was fantastically done. This book was compulsively readable. It was everything that I needed because I was definitely feeling slumpy. Had a couple of books back to back that didn't really hold my interest that I kind of had to force myself to pick up. Not this one. I just ate it up in like a day. It was fantastic. Loved it. Honestly, my love for the hero is so strong that I think I may bump this up to a 5-star. I think I might. I think I will. Because honestly, when I'm talking about it with you and my reasons for giving it a 4-star, like, they're kind of weak, you know? I am definitely a reader who rates things on the emotional connection that I have to a book. And if that is high enough, and if that resonates with me strongly enough, I can forgive a whole lot of technical flaws. You know? So I'm changing my rating. This is a 5-star rating because I loved it. It was so beautiful, honestly. Like, it's definitely not without its flaws, you know. It's like all books, right? We've talked about that in other vlogs, but the way that I connected to this hero and this heroine and their romance was just, I was obsessed with it. I really loved it, you know? I definitely can see how people would think. I don't know. I don't want to rationalize it. You know what? This is my channel. I'm going to tell you about the books that I love, and I freaking loved this. I loved it. Very, 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 very dark, though. Like, seriously. The trigger warnings that I can remember: childhood abuse, sexual abuse, there's religious trauma, she's involved in a religious cult, there's death of friends, there's violence on page, you know, there's self-harm. This is a very deep and heavy it deals with some dark topics and themes, so be prepared for that going in. But honestly, this is one of the few dark romances that I have read that I feel like does everything that I want a dark romance to do. So I loved it. 5 stars. Honestly, freaking loved it. Loved it so much. 5 stars. Okay, so that's the last book that I read. So then I felt like, you know what, it's been a while since I read a historical. I think the last one that I read was the Kathy Maxwell, and I probably have read maybe 5 books since then, 5 or 6 or 7, or I don't even know how many. I've had a lot of arcs that I've had to finish, and that honestly almost always puts me in a reading slump if they don't end up being something that I'm absolutely invested in, because it's like homework, right? Like, I have to review this arc, and if I'm not loving it, it's really hard. That's going to send me into a book slump. So anyway, I don't have a lot of indie arcs in the pipeline soon, so I'm excited about that. Most of the arcs that I have are books that I really want to read. Very excited about that. So anyway, the next book that I picked up, because I am wanting a historical, is, of course, Then Came You. I decided to go with this one because yesterday was Derek Craven Day, as established by the Fated Mates podcast, and I've been rereading sections of Dreaming of You by Lisa Kleypas, which is one of my all-time favorite books. I think it is one of her best books. I adore it so freaking much. And I remembered, you know what? You haven't finished this series. You never read the first book. So this is actually the first book in that duology, The Gamblers of Craven. I think that's what it's called. And so this is about Lily, who is our heroine, and she actually has a child. It's not really disclosed yet. I'm only this far into it. It's not really disclosed yet what the circumstances were for her to have that child, but obviously they weren't ideal because she's not married. She is the type of woman who is constantly doing things that society frowns upon and that sort of gets her the side eye and comments made about her. She's dear friends with Derek Craven, and he has sort of become a protector of hers. So in this book, she is going to try and stop a wedding between a man that she deems inappropriate for her sister. She doesn't want them to go through with that marriage. She thinks it's going to be terrible for them. She wants better for her sister, so she's stepping in to try and get that to be stopped. And of course, in doing so, she ends up falling with that man. That hasn't happened yet. At this point in the book where I'm at, they're still very much enemies. They're still antagonistic. They're still, like, throwing verbal barbs at each other, constantly sparring with one another. Like, he doesn't like her, but he can't stop thinking about her because she's just super sexy and beautiful and attractive to him, you know? And she finds herself thinking about him too, and wondering and questioning the feelings that she already has for him. So anyway, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's super engaging. I'm very invested in this so far. I feel like this is a healing balm stepping back into a Lisa Kleypas book, and this is exactly what I needed. So I am very excited about this. This edition was actually sent to me by Jess from Peace Love Books because I didn't have it, and it's one of my favorite old school covers. Like, I love it. So this is the book that I'm currently reading. I'll keep you all updated and let you know my final thoughts when I finish it. We'll come and review it. So, oh, I forgot. I got a package from Samantha from Books with Samantha. She sent me a Valentine's package, and we're going to open it. Look how cute. I think this is adorable. I can't get over the kindness of the book community, honestly. Like, Samantha and I are friends. She didn't have to send this to me. I am really terrible at sending things in the mail. Like, I am very terrible, even to my dearest friends. It's just, which is ridiculous because I ship stuff routinely for my business. But anyway, this is adorable. Look at this tea towel set. The kitchen is the heart of the home. Oh my gosh, I love that. That's beautiful. Thank you so much, Samantha. I love that dearly. It's got such cute wrapping and packaging in here. And look at this. Look at these cute things. Oh my heavens. How adorable is that? So it's got like teaspoons and cups, and they're all heart-shaped. Samantha, this is amazing. Thank you so much. That is just makes me smile. I can't stop smiling. There's a card. Wonderful. Look at this beautiful thing. Wowee. Look at this bookmark. Can you see that? That's gorgeous. And a tassel. I love it. We're going to put that in the Lisa Kleypas book. Also because I know Samantha loves Lisa Kleypas too. You know. Look at how pretty. Okay. And let's see. I will read the card. I may not share it with you if it's too personal. But I just think that is the sweetest thing. Look at the card. It's a typewriter and a heart. Oh my goodness. It says, this box is my version of Blind Date with a Book. Each book is wrapped with a tag that briefly goes over the tropes in a lot of the book. My family and I also made some homemade bookmarks to go with your books. Hope you enjoy. I know Valentine's Day is Samantha's favorite holiday. She said she wants to send a fun goodie box. Oh my gosh, that's so sweet of her. I absolutely cherish our friendship. Your reading vlogs are my favorite, and I love how passionate you are when talking about romance books. We have such similar taste in books, and I always love your recs. Hope you enjoy your box. This is literally the sweetest thing in the entire world. Thank you so much, Samantha. My favorite thing in the world to get, I feel like my love language is words of affirmation. So like handwritten notes just means the world to me. So thank you so much for taking the time to write that. I love this. Wow. Also, look at how cute this is. Look at this. It's like a paperweight. Can you see it? That's adorable. There's chocolates, which I love. Hide those from my boys, am I right? Ooh, and tea? Look at this. I do love me some tea. Thank you, Samantha. That is so fun. I love that. This is Earl Grey, which I love. Happy Valentine's Day. Blind Date with a Book. Historical romance. Classic historical author. Marriage of Convenience set in London. Well, let's see. There's also a sucker. Very cute. You know, I really loved Valentine's Day as a kid. Valentine's boxes and candy. Like, I wish we still did that as adults. You know? Because that was really the funnest time to celebrate Valentine's, right? When it was like no pressure about romance or dates and it was just wonderful. Oh, look! Look at this beautiful book. I believe this is a prequel to the Bedouin series. So thank you so much, Samantha. This is gorgeous. I love it. This is the novel. This is the one that introduces the Bedouins. So this is Kit and Lauren Edgeworth. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. Thank you so much, Samantha. I can't wait to read that. I actually need to finish this book so I can say I finished the Bedouin series because I have not read that one yet. So very excited. Thank you so much. Okay, so this one says, a magical romance, first in a series, a popular historical romance author. This was on my Amazon wish list. Oh, that is exciting. I wonder what that was. That implies that she really went to a lot of trouble and a lot of thought and time that she looked on my wish list. Thank you. Look at that! I'm so excited! I've been wanting to read this so much. And didn't we just talk about Lisa Kleypas? Thank you so much, Samantha. I'm thrilled with this. I can't wait to read that. Thank you so much, my friend. This was amazing. I love everything you sent. My heart is just touched, and this was so kind of you. Thank you so much, Samantha. So, I love you, my girl, very, very much. Thank you so much, y'all, for watching. I'm not closing this vlog. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, I'll see you in a bit when I have finished or have an update for the book I'm reading. Hello, my friends. Welcome back. We're going to close out this vlog. Oh, hi, Kazi. And we're going to talk about Then Came You. Y'all, I loved this book so much. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't even tell you how much I loved this book, and what a complete and utter joy it was to be back with Lisa Kleypas. I spent so much time last year going through her backlist and trying to get caught up on the Wallflowers, Ravenels, and Hathaway series that there are still like some standalones and a few like the Bow Street Runners. Excuse me, I'm trying to talk to my friends. Rude. But this is a book that I've been kind of nervous about because it is the first book in the Gamblers of Craven series, and I dearly love Dreaming of You. I think it's one of Lisa's best books. It's one of my favorite historicals. It actually, honestly, I think it is my very favorite historical romance, and so I was so worried. I wasn't gonna like this, but honestly, what was I afraid of? It's Lisa Kleypas, and like even the books of hers that don't hit 5 stars for me, they're still such a fantastic reading experience. She's just masterful. Honestly, I just love this woman, and I hope that she never stops writing. I haven't heard anything about if we're getting a new book from her this year, so I'm thinking that's a no. And I'm very sad about that. But this book felt very much old school, but also, excuse you, sir. This is why I don't film in here very often anymore, because he's just such a little nerd, and he needs all the attention. He's under the table. But what was I saying? Oh, it was a little old school feeling, kind of. I mean, this book was written in 1993, so it had a little bit of that feel that older historicals do, where it feels like very much a ton of story packed into it. You know, I feel like a lot of the times what we're getting in current historical romances that are being published today is something that happens very quickly. It happens like over a very short period of time, which is fun too, but I definitely prefer this style that spans quite a while, quite a long time, and it has such a very complicated plot, but it's not at the expense of the character development and the relationship development. Like, this is a case where I feel like the plot, the character growth, the relationship, the romance, like everything was perfectly intertwined and connected to tell a completely convincing romance. I honestly love this book. I feel like I'm one of the last people to read it for like my Goodreads friends. My hair is driving me nuts, I'm sorry. For like my Goodreads friends and people, I know that this was like a book club pick for Historical Hellions last year, so I know a lot of people read it. And I was just worried, y'all. Like, I was worried because I knew Derek Craven was in this book, right? I knew you would get to see him, and you did. And I was worried. I had heard people didn't like him in this book. I freaking loved him in this book. I loved him in this book. I loved his relationship with Lily. They're good friends, platonic relationship. He sort of protects her and watches over her. And they just have this wonderful relationship. So I really, really, really loved Derek in this book. And it was... What do you got, doggo? I am so sorry for all the interruptions. He is a toddler, okay? He's my freaking toddler. But this book, seeing Derek in here was fantastic. Honestly, the thing that I was most afraid of was the hero. I wasn't really on board with Alex for a lot of this book. But that's largely because he had made assumptions about Lily based on the information that she gave him, based on how she acted. He just assumed things about her, but he still desired her physically. Like, his desire for her is very, very strong. But the thing that I loved specifically about their relationship is that it wasn't just his physical desire for her. It was like there was something about her, like her wildness really drew him in. The way that she was not going to give in to what society wanted her to do. I just loved her. Honestly, I really thought about making a badge that said Lily, because this heroine, I think, is one of the best heroines Lisa Kleypas has ever written. She is incredibly strong. She is a take-no-crap kind of woman. She is not going to cave, and she works extremely hard. She is dedicated to getting her daughter back. Oh my gosh, this book was so freaking good. I just loved it. Honestly, I feel like this is truly another example of Lisa Kleypas books that is fantastic. And I'd really be curious to know, I know there are some people out there that don't like Dreaming of You. I'd really be curious to know if you don't like Dreaming of You, if you've read this and what you think of it. Because to me, it's a very different type of scenario. And the thing that I really love and what keeps Derek Craven like my top hero, my man, my boo, is how romantic that he is with the heroine, and how he fights so much, how much he loves her and cares for her, but like he doesn't want to show it, and so he like steals her glasses and things like that. Like, the man is just so romantic. Anyway, Alex, on the other hand, had tragedy happen to him. You know, like, his fiance was killed in an accident. He deeply loved her. He still is grieving for her, and he's not really ready to commit his heart to someone else. So watching him really feel this draw, this continuous draw towards Lily, while still, I would say this is also a little bit of an enemies to lovers romance, honestly. They have such an antagonistic relationship, which is slightly hilarious. When she tied him up, y'all, I was screaming, literally. That was like the best. That was fantastic. I loved that move, Lily. Like, she is a powerful heroine, and honestly, this book was perfection. I loved the ending. I loved pretty much everything about it. It was completely enjoyable. A freaking page turner. This was an audiobook that I could not stop listening to. I loved and adored it so much, and I just... Everyone who has recommended this to me, thank you so much. I know Tala wanted me to read this. She just knew I was going to love Lily, so Tala, if you're watching, you were right. I loved Lily. I know Jen recently read this, I think for her Bodice Ripper, or not everybody read Bodice Rippers, but the reading historicals from your birth year, I think this was Jen's birth year from the Book Refuge, and she read it and loved it, and this book was fantastic. I loved how fierce Lily was about her daughter and protecting her. I really thought it was interesting how... Something else that I thought a lot about while reading this is a lot of this book is showing you Lily and how powerless she is in her circumstances, right? She's a ruined woman. She trusted a man who she believed was going to marry her and do right by her. She trusted him. He seduced her, gets her pregnant, and abandons her. And he is the villain of the entire book. So watching her choices that she made throughout this entire book, I think highlights how powerless she is. And I think it also shows very clearly how she uses the power that she has, and that's in her sexuality and in her appearance. Like, she is unafraid to use the power that she has to survive, to get her daughter back, but at the same time, like, she's very, very guarded with her heart. She is very wary of trusting men, so it takes her a really long time to trust Alex and to open up to him. While at the same time she's like enjoying him and their physical connection. Like, this book was fantastic. I think this is an excellent case study of what women's really had, like how powerless they were at that time, and how often it probably happened where the exact same scenario happened to her, where they're young women, you know, they're seduced by this powerful man who they believe is going to take care of them, marry them, do the right thing, advance them in society, provide for them for their whole life, only to realize he only wanted to sleep with you, and then he abandons you. And it feels especially cruel in this type of a setting because you know exactly what that cost her and what that meant for her future, you know? It's giving me chills. This book was fantastic. This is for sure one of my favorite reads of the year. This was fantastic. I did not expect to love this as much as I did because of how much I loved Dreaming of You, Derek Craven, but I loved it. It's still not, it's not as romantic to me as Dreaming of You. Like, Dreaming of You stands supreme as just such a superior historical romance book, but I still loved the heck out of this book. It was fantastic. I loved the characters. I feel like this is a freaking masterpiece. It was 6 stars, okay? This book was amazing. I was obsessed with it, and I'm sad that it's over. But it's okay. I still have some Lisa Kleypas books to read, but I may not be burning through them as quickly because I don't want to be over with them. Like, that will be a sad day when I read all of Lisa Kleypas books. She's my favorite. She's amazing. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this vlog. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a little bit chaotic. Started out the week very slumpy. Had a book, didn't really like it, honestly, kind of underwhelmed, disappointed. Had a book that surprisingly I loved, It Ain't Me, Babe. Very much enjoyed that. And then now we have this book, which is my favorite book I've read so far this year. And it was amazing and I loved it. And I'm so happy to have this edition. Anyway, that's all. Thanks so much for watching, my friends. I hope you enjoyed this reading vlog. I hope you have a wonderful week ahead, and please feel free if you want to drop an emoji and let me know you were here. How about you leave me a doggo emoji for Kazi and tell him he's a good boy. So I'll see you all in my next video.